The United States Department of Justice is preparing a case about a massive Democratic Party conspiracy. So that I don't sound unfounded and you don't think I'm drunk or high, I'll first show you footage from the video. This is John Salomon. So far he hasn't given any false information yet.
This is one ongoing criminal conspiracy. It will consider the Democratic deep state as Rick's operation.
John just called the Democratic Party leadership the deep state and people who are involved in racketeering and corruption at the highest level.
This is an important moment, most likely in Florida. I think they will announce these important moments soon, and as soon as the verdicts start, as soon as they are charged with things everyone understands, I think the country will turn around and say, yes, wait, they are cheating. In March, I believe the Louisiana case will reshape the map for years. And the Democrats will desperately try to win next year's election to expand the Supreme Court and overturn this. But if they lose next year because of the redistricting, accountability will begin. Their deep, dark secrets that they lied to us will be revealed, and the Republicans will show that the approach President Trump used really did significantly improve our economy. Right now, Donald Trump is in a strange situation. The economy is growing, but people don't feel it. Yes, like George Bush Sr. in '92 said that the economy was better, but no one felt it, and he lost to Clinton. I think our economy will start to improve in the spring of next year. And people will be in a slightly better mood and things will get going, but a lot needs to happen and people need to stay the course. They were given a mandate. They accepted some parts of the mandate. Trump stopped the border very well, but many other points of the mandate are not felt by people. They haven't reached their everyday lives and Donald Trump needs to bring them to the people. I think he needs to speak from the Oval Office. I think next week he should address Americans and say, here is my 10-month report. I've improved some things, but I still have a lot to do. He needs to reach young people and Latinos who are leaving him now but will quickly return.
I actually agree with John. Trump definitely needs to sum up the results at the end of the year, and of course he will do that, and outline the direction the country will take, a movement toward improving the lives of the people of this country. And now a little bit about something else, but we'll come back to this topic and the topic of don't follow orders, which was voiced by members of Congress from the Democratic Party a little later. We'll sort of bring it all together.
Recently, Just the News received an important letter from former CIA Director Mike Morell, the same one who organized the letter from 51 intelligence professionals. They tried to make you believe that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, even though it wasn't. This is between him and John Brennan, one of the signatories. You know John Brennan, Obama's CIA director and advisor. Hillary Clinton is pulling a dirty trick against Trump, the so-called Russian collusion. This was right before the presidential debates between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Hunter Biden's laptop. The information from it was actively spreading. Mike Morell, former CIA director, tells John Brennan, sign this letter because, I quote, I'm trying to help the campaign, especially during the Thursday debate.
An important point. Gentlemen from the CIA, FBI, and other intelligence agencies are, by law, not allowed to interfere in the politics, the internal politics of the United States of America. This is prohibited. And for this, there should be punishment. And in the past, it seems they used to punish for it.
In order to push back against Trump on this issue. A person with clearance, the CIA director knew that creating intelligence reports is not just a civic duty. With 53 people, he tried to create a political moment and incriminating evidence. We will find out if Congress has this letter, but it is a very important document. This is the main evidence that it was a dirty political trick coordinated with Barbara Vaden's company.
Major deceptions. Well, how about, let's say, 12 million people out of the total 24 million who signed? In what we call Obamacare, that is exactly half of the people who are covered. Obamacare, which they've been shouting about nonstop, starting from Obama and all the other Democrats. So they were all covered by insurance, all 24 million, but these 12 million, yes, We naturally paid for them with our taxes, these 12 millions. Half of them had no idea at all that they were enrolled in Obamacare and were paying separately themselves. For other insurance policies, perhaps among these 12 million, that's $35 billion a year of taxpayer money, the Biden administration has been paying this money for 4 years. At the same time, all the participants knew it was a scam. 35 billion multiplied by 4 years equals $140 billion. I've already gotten used to saying the word billion, even trillion. I'm used to saying it. Before, every time I thought, oh my God, but now it seems like I've gotten used to it. So what if they stole 140 billion over there? They stole even more.
There are a lot of problems in the healthcare sector. As you said, the Government Accountability Office report was a request made last year by me, Chairman Jordan, and Chairwoman Kathy McMorris Rogers. And the results published this week are quite alarming. Just one Social Security number had more than 125 different policies.
For a single Social Security number. Well, that's one person registered, and we paid for it. Dozens of insurance obligations were paid by us, by us, by us. No one checked for duplicates in the computer because it was difficult, and no one informed us.
There are 59,000 people confirmed dead, but insurance companies kept receiving subsidies for them. And if you look at the 24 million people participating in the programs everyone is talking about, that's about 12 million last year. They didn't even file a single medical claim because they didn't know they had insurance. The issue wasn't a lack of medical claims, but that insurance companies were subsidized and people were automatically enrolled without their knowledge. But when we look at healthcare, what we're discussing in Washington right now is how we can lower the cost of medical care for all Americans, how we can lower insurance premiums for all Americans, and how we can create more access.
So out of 24 million paid patients, 12 million didn't know that someone was paying for them. The continuation is great, right? Just great. This is an astonishing time of widespread theft and robbery. I even said, but is medicine the only one? What about schools and what about housing subsidies? So what do you think? Did the Democrats who organized all this organize it for themselves? V. They sleep peacefully like, whatever Trump finds on us, we don't care, I'm not worried, or maybe they're shaking, well, from fear, obviously, and from hatred too, maybe even more from hatred. They're ready for anything, in my opinion. For example, even for alcohol. The frightened governor of Minnesota.
My name is Matthew Galliotti, head of the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice. Thank you all for joining us today as we announce the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in the history of the Department of Justice. Today marks a pivotal moment in our fight to protect American taxpayers from fraudsters and to preserve the integrity of America's healthcare system. Today, we are announcing charges against 320 to 340 defendants for their alleged involvement in healthcare fraud schemes involving approximately $14 billion in false claims. $6 billion submitted to Medicare, Medicaid, and other healthcare programs.
Which is another $14.6 billion in detected theft. Of course, the robbery is against us, you and me, them. They stole everything and everywhere, whatever was lying around. This isn't even kleptomania anymore, it's some kind of burning hatred, envy. If I can't earn it, I'll steal it. Doesn't it remind you of Russia, Ukraine, Nigeria, and Bangladesh, Morocco, Georgia before Saakashvili?
With such a large-scale crackdown, it's impossible to describe all the work done to stop every scheme. But there are 4 key points worth highlighting. First of all, let's clarify what these fraudulent schemes in medicine mean for every hardworking American family. These criminals didn't just steal other people's money, they stole from you with every fraudulent claim, every fake bill, every denial scheme. That's money taken directly out of the pockets of American taxpayers, who fund these important programs with their hard work and sacrifices. to be continued. And when criminals defraud these programs, they're not just stealing, they're increasing our national deficit and threatening the viability of healthcare for seniors, people with disabilities, and our most vulnerable citizens.
Can you imagine what life in America would be like if it weren't for the socialist thieves? Why do I say socialist? Because it's always help the elderly and we'll steal, help the immigrants and we'll rob, help clean the water and air and we'll deceive and take it all away. If not everything, then almost everything. Because when the government collects money for good causes, it's actually the government, through its employees. Since the government doesn't have hands of its own, it can't resist reaching into that very pocket and taking some for itself. Well, at the very least, for our party, which wants good for the people, while the other party doesn't want good for the people, or maybe it does, but so far it just hasn't worked out.
Hello, I'm Carmit Dillon, Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, and I am here to share important information about one of my many responsibilities at the Department of Justice, enforcing our federal election laws. Here are some stats from the past 8 months. The Department of Justice reached out to all 50 states requesting voter lists to help them comply with the Voting Rights Act, which requires states to maintain up-to-date lists. 4 states complied voluntarily. We filed a lawsuit against North Carolina early on, and they are reviewing records for 100,000 voters who were improperly added to their voter rolls, and they are going to resolve their issue voluntarily. We have agreements with almost a dozen other states, and I expect that very soon. We will be studying their voter data and comparing it with our records, helping them clean up those voter rolls. Right now, we have 15 lawsuits against 14 states. California got 2, and we're suing them. They refuse to provide the data, even though many states voluntarily give California their voter rolls.
Another 14 states refuse to show the federal government who is on their voter rolls, and California refused to show the federal government the lists of who elects the federal government. Do you think everything is clean in California, or do they have something to hide? Wherever you look, there's deception, forgery, fraud, and theft. And now let's get back to our most important video with a call not to obey Trump.
The November 2026 elections will depend, rightly or not, mostly on the economy. The left knows this, and 2 things. The first is that there is a colossal projected increase in oil production, as well as natural gas. The second is deregulation and significant tax cuts provided by this large-scale and very beneficial bill, which will come into full effect in 2026. And 10 trillion in foreign investments, even if that's only half of what's promised, it's still a huge amount. Yes, 7 to 8 times more than what Biden received in his last year in office. If you add all this up, the economy is now thriving. On Black Friday, after Thanksgiving, online sales reached almost $11 billion. It was a record, not just better than this time last year under the Biden administration, but better than ever in history. So the economy is already strong, and you can imagine that these catalysts and these incentives that are coming, deregulation, tax cuts, massive foreign investment, the deportation of 2 million people from the United States per year, who were probably receiving social assistance and in many cases involved in crimes, you can see what's going to happen. The economy will be booming in 2026, and the left knows this. So what is their strategy? Don't talk about Trump's economy. And what do we see? They're attacking Tesla, setting dealerships on fire, Tesla getting cars out, Tesla off the roads, because Elon Musk is the prince of darkness, and he was involved in DOGZH, demonizing DOGZH, turning against internal combustion engine. Street theater, riots, call them Gestapo, say they're worse than Hitler. Go after the National Guard that restored order in Washington, call for mass resistance, call it illegal, shut down the government. They shut down the government longer than ever in history, closed it for 40 days for no reason, achieved nothing, supposedly achieved nothing. Turn it off, it's yours. Top Democratic Party senators and representatives recorded a video Tell all 1.3 million active duty American soldiers they don't have to obey the order. If, based on your legal knowledge, you're a private and he's your commanding officer and he orders and go over that hill, but you think, this is illegal, create chaos.
I think this video is not just random, but part of a larger strategy of distrust toward authority, like Machiavelli's divide and conquer continuation.
The most important thing, Epstein's files. Did you have Epstein's files? For 4 years under the Democrats and Joe Biden, I knew that Donald Trump was excluded from his circle of friends even before he was convicted of anything. But about 80% or 90% of the people in the so-called Epstein files, these are emails, these are text messages, these are court hearing transcripts, these could be Internal Revenue Service files, but 80% to 90% of them are Democrats. That's why this wasn't made public during the Democrats' rule. But it doesn't matter. Just say Epstein cases, Epstein cases, Epstein cases, Epstein cases. Donald Trump finally agrees to make them public, and then we hear almost nothing, except maybe a mention of Larry Summers. Democracy, but silence. Why aren't the left demanding that every name be made public? Because they have more Democratic donors than Trump has Republican donors, the ones they're talking about. So the Epstein files, just like the lockdown, like all this street theater, like all these videos, like all this vulgar language, they were designed with one goal, for one reason, for one thing, to distract your attention from the economy.
And that's even before the results of Trump's reforms have a noticeable impact on the life of the working American.
Come up with the word accessibility. The real message is that we, the Democrats, raised prices by 21% when we were in power, by 4.5 or even 5.2% per year. We had huge budget deficits. We increased the national debt by $8 trillion. We had a deficit of $1 trillion. Don't talk about that. Just say that under Donald Trump, inflation was 3% over 10 months, the same as when he took office. And so he's responsible for the 21% that we accumulated. And we'll call it affordability. My message to the Trump administration and all of you listening to me right now is this. Drop all this street theater, all the pornography, all the foul language, all the rebellious activity, and just focus on the economy. Having discussed 2 key points, 2 points. How much better is this than the 4-year average? But more importantly, show why there will be a real boom in 2026.
Gentlemen, I'm not an economist, of course. Victor Kenson isn't an economist either. So neither his words nor mine should be taken as serious economic analysis. These are just my opinions. It seems that his feelings, experience, intuition, and life knowledge predict that in late spring or early summer, there will be an economic boom in the United States. And because of this, the Democrats will continue this and that. With a scarf, cover the pipe and automate it well. Goodbye, see you again.